zone. It's like kind of wanna get in some ancient travel type of uh topic here, and also the relation to the native peoples of the world. Man, seem really to the the northern kingdoms, the Ephraim. It's just really crazy, dude. I just listened to the Numbers audiobook, and for some reason I couldn't never just read through Numbers because for a long portion of the first part of it it seems like a bunch of just names and random information, and really it's strange how the Bible works like that. Like, you actually have to go through and look back to the beginning after you got an understanding of things that already happened. And in the beginning, it would have made sense to know all of it in the beginning, but now it makes sense to look back from the end towards the beginning and remember things. And it's just really crazy. It's freaky. Like how deep this stuff is. For instance, here, I'm just gonna go crazy on you real quick. Esau was a red, hairy man, hairy all over. It says, you know what I'm saying? And the other day I was watching this video about werewolves, and there's some people that have something called like hypertrichosis or something, and they grow hair all over their face, on their nose, on their eyelids, on their ears, and they do look freakish, like animalistic. And there's even an alternate book from an alternate, like either Jash or Jubilees or something. Can't remember where exactly I heard it, but it said that they mistook Cain for animal, like his grandson did, and they shot him with an arrow. So maybe Esau was really like beast looking, you know what I'm saying? Or Cain. Wait, man, that's kind of weird. Was it Cain or was it Esau? You know what I'm saying? I can't remember now. Now I'm all confused. It's either way, man. If it was Cain, maybe the mark of Cain was maybe he was a shapeshifter and he went skinwalker. You know what I'm saying? Or maybe his grandchildren had bad eyesight of the curse. You know, of the blood. How the sins of the father or whatever. Not sure here, but either way, man, whatever story that was, whether it was Esau was a red hairy man, for instance. Anyway, whether Cain, did they mistook him for an animal? Yeah, it had to have been Cain. My bad on that for getting off track on that. But still how this kind of still kind of relates, man. For instance, the Phoenicians, supposedly your redhead, blondish people really come from Turkey. And in ancient history, they were pushed out of there and they were a sea people. So they could flotilla around different parts of the world, and they actually uprooted from over there and moved over to Ireland. And Ireland's got these old geoglyphs, which are just like pictures painted on rocks, and it's advanced pictures of the sky, and they use these for sailing and other religious astrotheological purposes, because that's where your astrotheology comes from, is the Phoenicians, the Canaanites, and it does seem like this is your Aryan type, uh, uh, same type of stuff, man. This seems like where this stuff came from. Uh, I seen this show on, I think, the History Channel or National Geographic or something, where they found red-haired mummies in Asia, like by Mongolia, but that's also up there by Russia, man. You know what I'm saying? And you got Eskimo-looking people in Russia, Eskimo people in northern Canada. All right, look, and oh yeah, the red-haired mummified people with uh, plaid. You know what I'm saying? Plaid clothing. So strange there. And they found some of this similar writing in geoglyphs, like in the middle of America. You know what I'm saying? And the Indians talked about the red-haired giants, and they also talked about the earth mounds, and they have earth mounds built over in Ireland. Ireland has these earth mounds that are astrotheology aligned to. That means aligned building aligned to certain astrological things, like the pyramids in Giza are Orion's belt on Earth. You know what I'm saying? It's like these people are real deep into this cult. I mean, it is a cult, and this is mentioned. It's interweaved throughout the Bible. The Bible mentions it all the time. It's like God's like, don't you do this now, and then they always do it, and it's called astrotheology, basically. So in a way, astrotheology has always been, it's like in the Bible, it says that the devil sowed the tares amongst the wheat. For all along, you got secret societies running right along the real thing in secret, passing along this ancient knowledge of idolatry. But these idols and these things that these people attribute worship to are real entities, and they do exist. I mean, it's a big mind F. Like how everything they say is mythological is like historical, and everything that they swear is science is straight up fictions. Like Darwinism, for one thing. You know what I'm saying? The age of the earth, all that stuff, dude. It's like there's just a bunch of stuff that we thought it was like this. They lied to us about it. The moon landing hoax. I mean, that's big time. Once you look at that, like there's some radiation belt out in the atmosphere that no one can pass. So I mean, they obviously lied. But this, on the other hand, they lied about this too. Like there's I think it was Lao Tzu or Sun Tzu or somebody from China talked about going off to a far off land. Like I think it was called Roshan, and it was a land across the ocean, and no one knew where it was. And this dude said he was gonna go and live out a simple life in a new faraway land. And you find this Chinese pottery, this certain kind of clay pottery symbol that only comes up in China, then it shows up in South America, either from China or stuff from China came over, then they copied the symbolism and started passing it around. Then you also see down in that area, they got a lot of martial arts styles existed around there, and that's kind of could be a connection, or just there's a lot of martial arts styles around the world anyway. But it seems like, you know, that like there's a particular kind though that is like really scientific, you know what I'm saying, or really that works really good. And that's kind of like you can trace it around the world sometimes. You really can. It's funny, man. So let me think. It's like you know, reading numbers, and it's like you know, once again, there's the lost tribes. Now it's even come to find out they're scattered from a curse, from curses as well. That's part of knowing who Israel is, which nationalities, which ethnicities went into straight up slavery. And you can go through history and look and see who suffers from the symptoms of the curses of the Bible, and you could tell that's who is who. You know what I'm saying? And it's crazy. It's crazy, man, because America is a conquered land. And it's like in the Bible, like God's like, each people gets their own inheritance, their own land. And it's almost set up in such a way that everyone should have plenty if they were all in accordance with what with God's will, basically, because God's will really is for good things for mankind, but just mankind is just rebellious, and it's not just our own fault. There's other forces at play. There's other entities vying for our our support, or our like loyalty. Will you join the dark side, in other words? To join us and we shall rule the galaxy together. I mean, that's basically what's going on out here. uh but all right, here's the thing about the Indians. Once again, North American Indians, and they fit the description, because over here, enemies swift as eagles that came from a far off land, uh, eventually did come over here and get us. And the thing about it is like, listen, just like Israel was known for, was coming into it, invading a land, you know what I'm saying, and basically spoiling any enemies around. Like, listen, it's like, cause kind of like, look, if people were evil, it puts you on this target list to get murked and spoiled and eradicated from the face of the earth. It's kind of like God even says that when you become so evil, even more evil people come conquer you sometimes, or a mighty people like Israel come and spoil you by your own, with like that own force and might that they oppress. This counter force comes in and spoils that and wrecks that. You know what I'm saying? But the bad part of it, just like all cultures, societies, the conquering force comes in. At first it's good, but over time it implodes on itself through people's corruption. People are less honorable. No one adheres. No one's accountable. Now it's corrupt. Now people are taking bribery. Now there's no law. It's lawlessness. And then people, then it goes on so long, people think what is right is wrong and what's wrong is right. I mean, that's where we're at. I mean, as far as our history goes, the mainstream person's understanding of history is just the thing about the Templar came over here to America and made a bunch of structures with the Vikings. You know what I'm saying? And the shitty thing, I'm looking at now, looking at the Indians' understanding is that who taught them the interpretation from word for word. There was a process that was really shitty. And by the time the guys, towards the end of the culture, they had a guy who knew both languages good enough to interpret it. The people that taught him were all eugenicists, Darwinists, and it just kind of sucks that he had to use what they gave him from their educationing. So it's just interpretation. You got to take it for what it is. It's interpretation, but you also got to know the culture of the Indian. That's to repeat orally the traditions. And this line has been broken. And this is another tradition of Israel. Is that there was a point where they used to repeat the history, which is the Torah, word for word for word for word from memory. So if the Indians used to do that, they repeated the history word for word orally from generations to generation. It's another one of those customs. So also it's another tie to that the same group of people, which is numbers. You know what I'm saying? It's like people were that connected in numbers. Here's another thing. The bow was taught to Israel, and I think it says it's written in Jubilees who taught the Indian or the Israel the bow. So the Indian had the bow, and that's kind of a tie to the men of valiant being able to shoot with either hand. I mean, it's crazy stuff. Yeah, man. But there's a lot of stuff that's in numbers that it's a lot deeper if you know the whole scoop what's going on with the history